Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. And today I decided to make a video for all of you out there that kind of like horror, you kind of like that spooky atmosphere but are too scared to jump into horror books, or maybe you're just not all that into the gore and the slashing and all of those really intense body horror books. So I'm just here to bring you 13 options for you to start reading some horror.
It's coffee time.
I think I did one of these videos some time ago, but I wanted to add more books to the list of spooky books that you can read if you want to get into horror. And I hope that you find, guys, something in this list that either intrigues you, something that sounds good to you, and hopefully it will also push you to start reading horror if you ended up in this video. You don't know my channel, but all you're looking for is some books that you can read without getting all of those gore intense descriptions. So let's start with our first two recommendations are going to be middle grade horror, so that in case that you're looking for something also maybe for your children or somebody you know that has kids and you want to get some books for them, maybe these two options will work. So the first thing I'm going to recommend you is actually a book series that I discovered myself not that long ago and that I have been enjoying, and that is the Creep Over series by PJ Knight. So these ones I think are perfect for people that are trying to get into horror or would like a spooky middle grade, because at the back of the books, and one of the subscribers let me know this trick, it actually says how scary it's going to be. There is a cryptometer here on the back and it says measure your fear. So you even have the option in the series to find books that are a little bit more intense than others, which is perfect also for people that are just starting or that don't want anything that is way too intense. This is the first book on the series, Truth or Dare. I read it, it was a lot of fun. They are quick, easy reads as well. And also these combine two things that, kids love, which is sleepovers and scary stories. Tia Lugo Speaks No Evil by Danielle Vigilante is my other recommendation for a middle grade horror. Also, I absolutely love the characters in this book and their representation. They are Hispanic characters and I love to see the family relationships as well. So these follow our main character. She's a 13-year-old girl, and one night in the middle of the night she wakes up because she cannot sleep, and through her window she witnesses a murder, and now she's scared to go to the police and tell them because she feels like the killer might be targeting her if she opens her mouth. So this was kind of like those cozy mystery thrillers but for kids, and I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for a book that also has some representation, in this case Hispanic, this might be one for you. The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall by Katie Allender, and this is about a family, like Delia's family, that inherit her aunt's mansion and they decide to move in there. But of course there is a catch, because this place used to be an insane asylum. So there are still many ghosts that are roaming this place, and Delia feels a connection with them and she feels like she might be able to help them move to the other side. So this is kind of like a spooky atmospheric tale inside of an old insane asylum. This is a book, I believe it was published in 2015, so it's been some time. I've never really heard people talking about it. So this is about those ghosts that are trapped in this place, and this is a YA book, so if you're still not ready for adult, you can check this one out. For my next recommendation, of course, I had to pick up a book by Stephen King, because I started reading horror with Stephen King books. I don't know if it's always the best because his books tend to be a little bit intense and a little bit long, so that is why I decided to pick up a short book here, and that is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I also feel like this book is not really similar to the other Stephen King works, and I feel like this is going to be perfect for people that are looking to maybe get into Stephen King's writing as well. We follow 9-year-old Trisha and her mom that are doing an Appalachian trail. They are just spending some time together, and Trisha, our 9-year-old girl, gets lost, and it is more of a tale of survival, and you know, of this little girl and her love for this baseball player. So it is more on the psychological side of things. It's a psychological battle for survival, and we follow this little girl. So I feel like this is one of those Stephen King books that a lot of people can enjoy. Next is a book that I have talked about several times in this channel, but I just feel like it's such a good mix between a mystery thriller and a little bit of horror, and I think it's gonna be good for people that want a thriller with some supernatural added to it, and that is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. This is a book that is told from a dual perspective. We follow two different women that are related, but we follow them in different times. Both of them, one in the 80s, one in present time, have been working in this hotel that seems to hold a mystery, a secret within its walls. And I just loved how this book was slowly building up the tension, slowly building up the hunting of this place, and I really enjoyed it. It also felt a lot of times like a true crime story, like an investigation kind of feel, and I think this is gonna appeal to a lot of different readers that are looking for something spooky but that it's not too intense. So if you love this type of stories that are told from different, you know, different years, different characters that all merges together at the end, this will be perfect. Moving on to a gothic tale, perfect for people that, you know, want one of those stories like Wuthering Heights or Rebecca, something in those terms, and that is of course Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This book was really well received in the horror community because of the absolutely delicious atmosphere that this book had. I really liked the pacing. It was a little bit slow at the beginning, but you know, that's what a good gothic story does. It takes a little bit of sweet time to build up, and it is about this woman that receives a letter from her cousin that just married, and she's a little bit alarmed by the things that she reads in the letter and decides to go visit her cousin and see what's happening in this new place, because she never really got to meet her new husband, so she doesn't even know who he is, and she wants to check it out and see if her cousin needs her help. And when she gets to this mansion where they live, she starts to discover some secrets about the family. I feel like apart from the amazing atmosphere that you're gonna get in this story, you have a really strong female character that is not your damsel in distress that needs to be saved, and I really liked her as a main character. And now let's talk about a book that I feel it would be a good first read for people that have not really read much horror. And also, since the movie came out on Netflix, I feel like maybe people are familiar with it, so it might be easier for them to get into the book, and that is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And I've said it multiple times, but the book was definitely way better than the movie. And this is a post-apocalyptic story. These kind of stories are really popular. I know we've all had maybe a little bit too much of them, especially also when it comes to movies. It feels like everything is a post-apocalyptic story by this point. But what I really loved about the book is our main character, Mallory, and to follow her journey in this new world order. I believe you all guys know what it is about, but it is basically a world in which some creatures arrive to Earth, and those creatures will make you go insane and will make you kill yourself and kill other people if you look at them. So people need to walk around blindfolded and try to survive isolated as much as possible, leaving their, you know, bunkers and houses as least as possible. So I really like that feel. It felt a little bit in some ways, you know, like Walking Dead scenario, but instead of zombies you have these kind of creatures, but that added element to it that you cannot see in order to survive. I thought it was really great and I really enjoyed the book. The Anomaly by Michael Rutger, and this is the Anomaly Files volume 1, and this one just sells itself by the pitch saying it is the X-Files meets Indiana Jones. Like, who doesn't want to read a book like that? Nolan is retracing the steps of an explorer from the 1900s that claimed to have discovered a very mysterious cave, and he sets himself this goal to find the cave, and he thinks he's finally going to make it. But of course he's going to encounter difficulties, and he's gonna ask himself, what is inside of this cave? Why has it been hidden for so long? So I feel like this one is gonna be good for people that are not so much into, you know, the gore, the slasher, because this one feels more like an adventure with some darker kind of tones to it. And, you know, X-Files meets Indiana Jones. I think it's a good description for the book. The Haunting of Ashbourne House by Darcy Coates, because a lot of people love and enjoy Darcy Coates. She writes cozy, atmospheric, most of them kind of hunting stories, ghost stories, and all they have that vibe, which is perfect for the Halloween season. A lot of people, you know, read Darcy Coates for Halloween, so definitely keep an eye on that if you're looking for some Halloween reads. Edith lives in Ashbourne House and she doesn't let anybody into the house, so people in town wonder what actually happens inside of those walls. Now, after Edith passes away, her only relative, Adrienne, is the one that ends up inheriting this place. She's young, she's looking for a fresh new start her own business, become an entrepreneur, and she decides to move into the house with her cat, which I love to see, and you can tell by the way the author writes the story that she has had cats herself, or at least has had a lot of contact with cats. I absolutely loved all of the cat parts. That was a plus added for me. And I really love to follow Adrienne's story. I felt like I was really connected with her, even though our lives and everything, you know, is very different from each other. But somehow Darcy Coates made me really care for this character, and I think she did such an amazing job to create a beautiful atmosphere inside of this place. This one is fairly creepy, so I guess it depends if you are looking for a really creepy, atmospheric haunted house story. But I really loved the whole background with Edith and everything that you're going to get to discover throughout the book. The next one I chose because I think it was fun, even though some parts were slightly intense towards the end, but I feel like it's still a good start for people that are looking to read more horror. Maybe not for 100% beginners. I guess it depends if you are into a little bit of blood. But that is The Southern's Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And I chose this one because it is kind of like a mystery thriller, those typical mystery thrillers from the 90s. And this one, it is based in the 90s. And it has some added, you know, blood in intense scenes towards the end. Now, this is the story of Patricia. Patricia is a little bit bored with her life and she decides to go to this book club. Apart from that, there is a new neighbor in the neighborhood and she thinks the neighbor is a little bit weird and creepy. And of course, she starts assuming that he has this really dark secret and starts her own investigations. So this is kind of like a little bit of Desperate Housewives vibe, I guess. And there is many thrillers, you know, typical thrillers of people seeing their neighbors, you know, carrying these really suspicious like trash bags outside and things like that. So it kind of has that vibe. So I feel like this is a great thing for people that are used to maybe reading thrillers, but you're looking for one that has maybe a little bit of humor in it. Our next book is also a thriller. This one is short. It has really short chapters, and I thought it was also a lot of fun because of the story that we get, and it is about two sisters. It is My Sister, the Serial Killer. I really had a lot of fun with this. I feel like it's a great fast pacing for people that also don't have time for really long books. And this is a story, you know, I mean, the title is pretty self-explanatory. It's about two sisters, and one of them might get carried away a little bit one night and decides to call her sister, who is a professional cleaner, to help her clean up her mess. So it's kind of like a really interesting relationship between the sisters. I feel like that was my absolute favorite part, to see all of the representation of their culture, as well as to see how the sisters' relationship evolves throughout the book and changes. I also wanted to recommend you guys a graphic novel, and for this I have chosen The Low Woods, which is a great story about a town in which we have now an illness that it's basically feeding on your memories, and all your memories are being erased. So the question is, what would you do in order to get your memories back? This one has amazing reviews. If you are into graphic novels and you want something a little bit spooky, I really recommend you to pick this one up. It's also short, and I also recommend you to check out any other thing that Carmen Maria Machado has written, because I think she's also great for spooky stories that are not so bloody and gory. And last but definitely not least, I wanted to recommend you some short horror stories, and for this I have Ghost Summer Stories, and this one has 1 novella and 15 short stories. It is based on a town in Florida, and what I like about this is that we are here dealing of a town that has problems with both the figurative and literal ghosts. This one is gonna be perfect if you just want something that is creepy, and it has also many short horror stories, so you're gonna be able to just digest them little by little and get used to it. Alright guys, so this was everything that I wanted to recommend you if you're looking for something that is creepy but it's not too intense yet. If you want to ease your way into horror, there is some middle grade, couple YA, and some adult here for you, graphic novel and short horror stories. So I hope that there was something for everybody here. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below, what would you recommend to someone that comes to you and says, hey, I want to start reading horror. What would you say should be my first read? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!